Watch
So
your
out of
step.
stairs ahead of you, all very artistic to space, so careful coming down. When you pick your row, make sure you grab a sheet of paper here at the front if you don't have one, and head all the way down to the last available board. It's going to be a pretty big class here, a lot of people coming in behind you, so make sure we're going all the way down, filling every board between you and your neighbor. It's going to be the first 5 rows here available to you. We'll try and get those filled in first, and then if you need to open up more, do that. But come on down, watch your step. Plenty of seats here available in rows 1 to 4. Row 5 is filling up way fast here. So make sure we're going all the way down to the last available board in your row here, guys. We've got a lot of people still looking for seats, a lot of seats to fill. So again, make sure we're going all the way down, filling every board, all the way down between you and your neighbor. And make sure we're leaving our boards where we find them, so that way everybody behind you has a board as well, and nobody is left without. Still got 6 spots here in row 2 as well, if you guys want to come on down a little bit closer, but most of the room looks like we'll be in row 4. Alright, of course we're going to be closing up here momentarily. How are you guys doing? Pretty good, not too bad. Alright. Some of us are doing alright, some of us are like not quite sure. We're like, I know I was dragged in by a friend, I'm not sure how I'm doing. Welcome to the Animation Academy, everyone. My name is Sandra, and I'm going to be here to teach y'all how to draw a brand new character from Pixar's new movie Hoppers. Here, we're going to be drawing the main character, little Mabel, this class. So hopefully we're all pretty excited here. If you've seen the trailer, maybe we haven't, that's okay. I'll give you a quick synopsis of the story. When you guys came in, you also met Thomas over here on the stairs. Thomas is an amazing artist. He's here to help you guys. So if during the class you break a pencil, it rolls into the seat in front of you, raise your hand high, he'll help you replace it. But Thomas is going to show you right now your exit doors. Any of the 3 there that you came in through, if you give him a hard push, as he is demonstrating, they lead you back out. So if you leave during class for like a restroom emergency, a churro emergency, they happen when you're going back. Now, one last thing here before we get started. You probably noticed it already, but you are missing erasers on your pencils. That's on purpose. In these classes here, we teach you how to rough sketch. So that means we draw very quickly, very messy, very light. And as we build our drawing with those light, messy lines, we only go back and darken in the important stuff we want to keep. Everything else you can let it kind of fade away in your drawing here. And you have a pretty cool, pretty sketchy looking drawing here of Mabel. Now, we're drawing her in her beaver form if you have seen the trailer. If you haven't, I do have a photo here. It's pretty small, it's going to be a little bit hard to see, but she is the one here in the bear's mouth. That's who we're going to be drawing for this class here. But yeah, we'll get to talking about this film here in just a moment, but to start, Mabel is going to be a nice big circle. I'd say the size of like a baseball, and orange is pretty good. It's going to do a nice big drawing surface, but you can always go smaller. This isn't like the set shape. Lock your wrist, lock your elbow, use your shoulder here to sketch in your circles. Your shoulder is going to be much, much better at drawing those circles versus your wrist. Your wrist will give you smaller, scratchy lines, but your shoulder gives you much larger, more fluid lines. Really try to use it as you draw. With all of our little starting lines here in place, don't worry too much if it's not a perfect circle. We do expand from here so it doesn't stay this shape. We're going to add guidelines. We'll cut it in half vertically here. So straight down the center, and horizontally, it won't be exactly straight. We want to add a little bit of a curve to this line. It'll be still pretty centered here, pretty in the middle, but we do want to curve it up ever so slightly on either side. So eventually it turns into a letter U, but you can think of this as like the very, very bottom of the letter U here. Once you've got this shape here in place for your guidelines, we want to bring down her cheeks and her chin. Beavers tend to have these like chunkier cheeks here, so that's what we want to give her as well. I'm going to go actually just underneath my circle here, and I'm going to add in just another little line. I would say it's like a fourth, a fifth of the way, a fifth of the circle here. That's how much I'm bringing down here on either side. And I'm going to really stretch it up and over to that horizontal guideline to give her those nice big chubby cheeks here, as well as bringing her chin down ever so slightly. We're still going to keep these lines nice and light, though. We don't want to lock them in just yet. They might change here as we draw one. But once we've got these cheeks here in place, we can start on facial features here right away. For Mabel here, her face is going to start with her nose, and it sits just below your horizontal line here. It's going to be this little chocolate chip nose, but the chocolate chip here, the top of it will be pointing downwards. So we'll start with a rainbow here for the top of her nose, and then we'll bring down these two diagonal lines, creating this letter V shape here for her. Once you've got this shape here for her nose, this will be the very first thing that I'm going to go back over and make a permanent part of my sketch. So I will lock it into place. Now this just means I'm going to darken up my lines a little bit more so they're really standing out here in my drawing. And for her nose, you can even add some tone and shading here to just add a little bit more liveliness here to your drawing. I always love adding a little bit of shading here to my sketch. I do feel it comes to life that much more. But right below her nose here, we'll also add in her smile. And her smile does attach to her nose. Beavers are mammals, and mammals, they have these little lines here that connects their nose and their mouth. It's called a philtrum. So I'm just going to darken up a little bit of my vertical line. I'll stretch out these nice wide letter U curves here for her smile, getting closer and closer to the side of my circle, but never quite getting close enough to meet. So nice big letter U curves. Now, if you've never seen the trailer for this film, it is about a 19-year-old girl, and her name is Mabel. She really, really loves animals, and her her professor, she's a doctor, her professor actually creates this technology. It's called hoppers. Now, in this technology, Mabel is able to kind of put her like thought process herself into this little like 3D printed beaver, right? And she runs around and befriends other animals and other beavers. It's not like if you could talk to animals, like would you? You probably would, right? But 100%. Try this hopper business. Now, they talk about it in the film as well. They joke about it, because if you've heard of this before, it has definitely been a thing before in the Avatar films, right? What's his name? Jack Sully? Or whatever his name is. The main character of the film, he kind of puts himself in a little machine, and it transfers his brain, his thought process into that avatar, right? So it's kind of similar. Again, they joke about it in the film. Mabel says to Dr. Sam, she says, wait, kind of like Avatar? And she's like, it's not Avatar. It's different. But we've got this nice big smile here for Mabel. And I'm going to go in here and add some smile lines here for her, these little rainbow curves here. And then we can lock in that smile as well here. So I'm going to go all the way around making these lines nice and bold. Now I'm also going to give Mabel a little bit more of an open mouth smile, because she seems very excitable in these trailers, right? So we want to give her this very happy smile here, especially as a beaver. She seems to really be enjoying her time with King George, the other beaver that she meets, as well as a lot of those animals there too out in the world. So I'm going to give her a nice big open mouth smile here, so that way she looks very, very happy. I'd say about middle or maybe just a little bit inside here of her smile, I'm going to drop down a nice big letter U, get real close here to the bottom of my circle. If you touch the bottom of your circle, that's okay too. She just still have a happier smile in your sketch. But nice big letter U here to just open up her mouth. And we'll add in her little buck teeth here on the inside. Now for these beavers here, they're going to have these very, very close set buck teeth. So I'm going to bring down these little rectangles that they kind of just pinch in ever so slightly. They have diagonal lines for the sides of the teeth, not necessarily going straight down, but if you drew it straight down, there's no biggie. The tooth here on the right, I'm going to make it a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller here, because she's got a little chip tooth. And then we'll add in her tongue here, right at the very bottom, just a little rainbow curve. I'll shade in the inside of her mouth here for some more extra credit, and we can add her lower lip here right below by just adding one more quick letter U curve here, either on your circle or just slightly below your circle. Once you've got her smile here in place, we can add a little bit more detail here to the sides of her face. Now, her cheeks here, the very outside of her head shape, has a little bit of a darker tone to it. So I'm going to go just above her smile line here on either side of her head, starting with this rainbow curve here. So this will give us a little bit more definition to the tops of her cheeks. The sides here of her cheeks, we can just follow the curvature of the side of her head with this very long stretched out letter C curve, eventually disappearing here towards the bottom of her head. Now this will just give us this little tiny pizza slice here, this little space, just to add some shading here to her fur as we finish up our sketch. So it is okay if you maybe drew over it or you drew a little bit too far away. You can kind of adjust both sides, and you're going to shade over it anyway, so don't worry too much here about this step. Once you've got these little marks here for either cheek, we can then add in her eyes. And her eyes here, since she is a younger character, she's about 19 years old, she's going to have larger eyes. Not super big, she's not a baby after all, but we do still want to give her younger eyes. Larger eyes for a Disney character makes them more inquisitive. They want to learn about the world around them, so we do want to go in here and give her some nice big eyes. I would say nice big circles, taking up half or maybe even a little bit more than half here of your head space here at the top of your circle. And I'm just going to place her eyes just slightly above her smile lines here on both sides. She's going to look a little bit funky without her pupils here, so it's kind of like a trust the process. But I'm going to go in here, add in these nice big circles here for her eyes. I'll lock in the eye shape here, the circle itself, and even thicken up this top lash line here, just the top rainbow of her eyes. Make it look like she's got lashes, but without being too extra about it, not drawing them all individually. Now, the director of this film is a gentleman named Daniel Chong, who also created the TV show We Bare Bears. And his original idea for this film was actually about penguins. It was supposed to be more centered around those mechanical penguins. I don't know if you've ever seen them. Have you ever seen a nature documentary where the scientists will put little mechanical penguins, they kind of infiltrate the actual penguin tribe, and they're trying to find out why these penguins are going missing. And so that was the idea, that was the premises of this film. The problem was, though, this film was then going to have to take place in an area that none of the Disney team has ever traveled to before. And so they were like, actually, why don't we steer clear of places we haven't been and kind of focus the film more around a city or a neighborhood that's a little bit closer by. And so the director was then kind of advised by the head of Pixar, Pete Docter, to try and select a closer location. The Arctic was going to be just a little bit too far away. And so instead, then he kind of just picked a neighborhood here, and that's kind of when the transition went to beavers instead of penguins. This film was also supposed to be a lot more like a Mission Impossible-esque. It was going to be very daring and brave, and I think it still is. There is definitely a lot of moments here where there is a lot of suspense, so can't wait to see the film. Now I added some nice big circles for her pupils. You could have gone for hearts or stars in there, maybe her love of nature and her love of animals, if you want to draw little hearts in there. But most importantly though, you do want to shade in her pupils nice and solid black so that way they really stand out here on your sketch. The eyes should always be the darkest part of your drawing. I'll add in some brows here, just floating pretty high here on her head, and they're fairly thick here towards the inner corner, and then they're thinner at the very end, at the tail end here. So we just want to make sure they're sitting about even. If they don't match, that's okay. They're sisters, they're not twins. But once you've got these brows here in place, we can kind of lock in her head shape. I'd say just leave this top left area light, because we are going to add some hair here to our beaver, and this is what kind of helps her look a little bit more like herself as a human. There's a couple little characteristics here to just kind of connect these two characters here. So I'm going to go in here, lock in everything again except for this left top side here of her head. We also do need to add in her ears here in just a moment here, so don't worry too much if she's not looking too much like a beaver just yet. I always think she looks kind of funny. She looks a little bit like a walrus to me, but it is what it is. I'm going to go in here, finish up locking in her head, and we can add in that fur texture, that hair here for her. And hair can be drawn in so many different ways. If you yourself as an artist are like, I prefer drawing every individual strand, totally go for it. It'll take you a little bit of time, but I definitely believe in you. But I'm gonna go in here and keep it pretty like general, pretty like quick with the hair texture that I draw. I like to think of it as like shark fin shapes or blades of grass. So I'm going to add about 3 shark fin shapes varying the sizes just to make it look a little bit more interesting here on her head as well. Now, we have lots of pretty cool voice actors joining us for this film here. The voice of Mabel, she is mainly spending her time on Disney Channel. I believe she was in the TV show Ant Farm, as well as I Didn't Do It. Her name is Piper Kundra. We also have a very familiar voice actor, the voice of King George, Robbie Moynihan, very funny guy. He definitely does spend most of his time on SNL, but he also played a monster in Monsters University named Chet. He was also another character in a different Disney show. He was Lewis in the DuckTales reboot. So if you've seen that, you remember maybe possibly his name. I'm going to add a little bit more detail here to these little shark fins that I drew. I want, like the really big one, I want to add one more little curve in there just to add a little bit more definition. Make it look like it's multiple pieces, not just one really chunky piece here. And then we can take a moment to add in her ears last here. And her ears kind of rest right up against the bottom of that big letter U that we drew. So I'm going to go in here. They're pretty small. They honestly look like little thumbs. I don't know how else to describe them. But they're just these little curves here. A little letter U and then a little letter C here connecting back to her head shape here. So I'm going to lock this one here in on the right. The one on the left is a little bit hiding behind this big piece of hair for me. If you have some space between her cheek and her hair, you can fit in there as well. But once you've got both ears in place, that is really technically everything you need here for your little sketch of Mabel. I'm going to add the shading like we talked about earlier here to really help define her features. You could add some whiskers here for her as well for some more extra credit. But if you do decide to shade in her fur, I really recommend turning your pencil to the side, kind of using it like a crayon, and just filling in that space. It'll really help you fill in a pretty large portion of space in a pretty small amount of time. You get a pretty even shade here with that too. But everything here above her nose and then inside those little cheek pockets that we created should be a little bit of a deeper brown. Her fur around her mouth here is a lighter brown, so we don't really shade that too much. But anything else is officially extra credit except for your signatures. So find yourself a spot, sign your name, nice, big, proud, so we know whose Mabel this belongs to. And with that most important question, did we have a good time? Fabulous. And I'd love to see all of your sketches here too. So quick count of 3 and we'll hold up our work. And don't be afraid to take a look around. Everyone's got a neat style. All right, count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Mabel, let's take a look out here. Super cute here in the background. All of it needs so much extra credit. Nice job with the bold lines here. Love the little hat over here we've given her. Really nice and cute here. Love those eyes. So adorable. Some bold lines here really filled up her pages. These look so cute. Nice work in my front row here as well. You guys got the definition of detail there. So nice job all around. Give yourselves a big round of applause. These are all so adorable. Nice work. Now those drawings are yours to keep, so do take them off your boards, take them home with you. You like your graduates, you always come back for another class, and if you're really interested in checking out this film, come down March 6th, so soon, right? Alright, you guys, class dismissed. Bye, everybody.
Let's have a great big round of applause for Sandra. Thank you all for joining us here at the Animation Academy. The doors on your left, the same 3 doors that you entered through, are now open for you to exit through. Please exit only through those 3 doors. When you stand up, do us a big favor and please put the drawing boards back up against the back of the seat, just the way you found them when you came in. And please put the pencils back in the springs as well. Thank you. Gather up all personal belongings, backpacks, hats, glasses, cell phones, and of course your drawings. Take your drawings with you, keep them if you like, and if you do not want to keep your drawings, then please fold them neatly in half and drop them into the recycling basket, which is located at the bottom of the ramp as you exit. While you are in the building, go say hi to Crush the Turtle over at Turtle Talk. Or head across the road when you exit the building and check out Mickey's PhilharMagic in amazing 3D. Whatever you do, have a wonderful time doing it. Right now we need everybody to stand up and start making your way to those exits though, because we got to tidy the place up and get ready for the next class. So thanks for joining us and enjoy the rest of your animated day here at Disney California Adventure.